Good afternoon and welcome to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited.
Happiness is the best deals. Happiness is great savings. Happiness is the best deals and great savings. Only at Quartz. Shop today with no cash and get 30 days to pay with ready finance. Only at Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
Welcome back to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited. I am your presenter, Rajiv Providence. First, on the local scene. Alongside the announcement of a full return of Vincimas being greenlit for this year, also came the announcement of the Bequia Easter Regatta 2022. According to Minister of Tourism Carlos James during a press conference held last week, the weekend of activities will be put on in a limited capacity. We hear more from Minister James.
The Bequia Easter Regatta is on, though in a very limited way because of the time constraints. The organizers on Bequia wanted to have an event this year, and we've encouraged them to also participate in onshore and offshore activities, but in a very limited way due to the constraints due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the short period of time in which, based on the protocols which have been relaxed to allow for full-on events in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. During the Easter weekend, the Union Island Easterval activity is also expected to take place. And we ask that you support these events, these local activities in the Grenadines, but adhere to the protocols.
That was the Minister of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, Carlos James. Professor Richard Robertson, seismologist at the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, while speaking on radio earlier today, discussed monitoring activity at La Soufrière post-eruption. Professor Robertson touched on various aspects of the monitoring of the volcano, such as equipment and personnel. We hear more from Professor Robertson.
After eruptions, there's a lot of investment and effort to ensure that you build the local capacity. And this time is no different. So we're working closely with NEMO to ensure that we have a network that can be sustained and that you have people here on the island who are able to support that effort. So there is effort that's ongoing to buy new instruments, make sure we have a stockpile of spares, make sure that we have the Belmont Observatory fully outfitted, both with equipment and also with people who are here on the island. You know, we had a small staff before, it's going to probably expand a little bit to have more people here who are able to keep a direct eye on the volcano.
That was Professor Richard Robertson, seismologist at the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center. This past Saturday, April 9th, marked 1 year since La Soufrière began explosively erupting. Still on the local scene, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bureau of Standards, SVGPS, held a national quality dialogue on Wednesday, April 6, 2022, at the Beachcombers Hotel Conference Room. The National Quality Dialogue is a collaboration between the SVGPS and the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality, and focused mainly on the agricultural value chain. According to a post from the Ministry of Agriculture's official Facebook page, its overall objective is to foster collaboration among stakeholders within the agriculture sector and to further develop an action plan enabling the quality infrastructure institutions to provide effective support to the agriculture sector. This national dialogue is an initiative within the national quality infrastructure, which will serve to strengthen and to increase cooperation among the various quality institutions and the private sector, as well as to promote the importance of standards and quality. On to news in the region. Dominican Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says government will soon announce measures aimed at easing the financial burden on citizens as a result of high fuel prices due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine that has resulted in an increased price for oil on the global market. Dominica and other CARICOM countries, including oil-rich Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, have had to deal with the increased price of the commodity and are taking measures to cushion its effect on citizens. Speaking on his weekly television program on Sunday night, Prime Minister Skerritt said that the Dominican government is exploring the possibility of the customs service charge on petroleum products imported into the country. This is about 3% of the petroleum products we have here in Dominica. Some years ago, we had removed the Elise tax and the customs service charge on liquefied petroleum gas and kerosene. There have been no taxes on kerosene and LPG in Dominica for the last 8 or 9 years. Every cent we can save the consumers is every cent remaining in their pockets, especially in these times, and we are also looking at the possibility of removing the freight and insurance as part of the consideration, and so on. Skerritt said his administration intends to engage the private sector on the issues, adding that when the government takes those decisions, the benefits are passed on to the consumer. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced over US $170 million in additional funding to support COVID-19 vaccination needs in lower income countries, including the Caribbean. From the start, Canada knew that the COVAX facility was the best way to get vaccines to countries who need them the most, said Trudeau, making the announcement on Friday while participating virtually at the 2022 Gavi COVAX AMC Summit. The summit, co-hosted by Germany, Senegal, Indonesia, and Gavi, has helped raise urgent financial support for the COVAX facility to promote economic recovery, accelerate efforts to address COVID-19 in low and lower middle income countries, and strengthen health systems in developing countries to better prepare for future pandemics and health crises. Trudeau said COVAX has delivered over 1.4 billion vaccines to 145 participating countries so far. On the international scene, a pro-Ukrainian Belarusian online intelligence telegram channel, Belaruski Hayon, says it has spotted substantial movement of Russian armed forces equipment by train across Belarus on Sunday. It says trains loaded with military equipment have been seen at railway stations in the capital Minsk and also southeastern Belarus. Trucks and tanks were also seen on a train at Rechitsa railway station in the southeast. Anti-aircraft missile systems and amphibious armored vehicles were spotted waiting to be loaded nearby. 6 fighter jets and transport aircraft took off from an airfield in the west of Belarus, and several Russian helicopters took off near Minsk. The Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has been an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin throughout the Ukraine war. Russia has pulled troops away from Kiev and is shifting most of the focus of its war to eastern Ukraine. And finally, in sports, Keshav Maharaj and Simon Harmer bowled South Africa to a comfortable 332-run win on the 4th day of the second test against Bangladesh. Bangladesh were bowled out for 80, losing their remaining 7 wickets inside an hour at St. George's Park. It sealed a 2-0 series win after a 220-run success in the first test in Durban last week. Left-arm spinner Maharaj took 7-40 and off-spinner Harmer claimed 3-34. It was Maharaj's second 7-wicket haul in successive matches after he took 7-32 in the first test. This has been WEFM's Midday News. I have been your presenter, Rajiv Providence. Join us again at 3 p.m. for WEFM's 3 p.m. News. WEFM's Midday News is brought to you with the kind compliments of Quartz St. Vincent Limited.
Glam out in the best names and designer frames with Quartz Optical. Buy one stylish frame and get 50% off your second pair. Sport your favorite Armani, Converse, Vogue, and many more frames for less. Get an additional 10% off and pay nothing for 30 days when you pay with Ready Finance. Book your free eye examination appointment online today on www.quartzoptical.com. Don't miss the opportunity to glam out. Only at Quartz Optical. Value you can see. Offer available while